students, we're discussing complex ribbons again. Here is my first page of complex ribbons, where I have utilized a vanishing point to help my lines disappear off into the distance, help creating space or the illusion of space. I'm going to focus in on the bottom half where we are below the horizon line, and thus we see the top of the ribbon. I've written some measurements out here. Once we establish our ribbon, we will measure as we drop the lines down to help create a ribbon that is getting smaller as it goes back in space. So, on this page, I have already established the vantage point in the center of the page, drawn some guidelines to the corners to help me out. As I start to look at this space, I want to divide it up. I'm going to have 3 turns to my ribbon. So I'll come up here just below about where halfway is, and then again divide that in half and come just above that. Down here, I want to give myself another mark. These 3 marks are going to help me create the turn, and make sure you make a nice tight turn. So here are my 3 turns. On the left side, I'm going to come in between that and make a turn on the left side. And then I just need to connect those two. Make sure that they're even and you're not tilting it downward. Mostly horizontal with your lines. As I finish this front part, I'll bring it over and I can go either way. It doesn't really matter. I can curve up above, or as in this example, down below. Do the same thing at the top. Bring that ribbon and do a little curlicue. That curlicue should be more horizontal in nature. Now, starting at the top, I'll use my ruler to do a little measuring. I'll make this first one 3/8 of an inch. As I move to the right, I'll do a 1/2 inch. So I'm just continuing to add 1/8 of an inch. 5/8 of an inch to the left. Moving to the right, we'll do 3/4 of an inch. By measuring, I'm ensuring that I am in fact getting a little bit larger every time. I kind of ran into the edge of that, so maybe I'll move my curlicue down. Over to the right, I'll be at 1 inch. Adjust this curlicue so I don't run into my measurement here. So maybe I'll just go ahead and bring it around front. That's too big of a curve. I'll fix that. We want nice tight curves. And then down here in front, I'll finally end with 1 inch and 1/8. Follow this subtle curve down here at the bottom. I kind of need to think now. I'm moving from 1 inch to 1 inch and 1/8 over on this side. And each time I go back and forth, I'm getting a little bit bigger. So this line should be fairly parallel, but obviously it should get a little bit bigger. So not exactly parallel. Make sure you don't forget that the top edge is curving, so the bottom edge must curve. Bring your lines around. Make sure they're following the top edge. And there you have it, a ribbon utilizing linear perspective to get smaller as it goes back in space. Now to finish this off and help the viewer out, we want to think about a light source coming in from the right. And so we'll shade in our turns. This side should be a little bit more shadowed on each of what is basically the left side of the ribbon. And I'm moving just quickly here, basically a back and forth motion. If you want to do a little bit nicer side of the pencil, that would be welcome. I'll add some light value to this part so that the whole ribbon has a little bit of value. And by adding a little shading, again, we always want to help the viewer see what we are trying to draw, and that's what the shading does. So there you go, the bottom half of our first complex ribbon page.